Celebrations.
Hanji.
When Prime Minister was there. Shagun, were you there that day?
Sir, Joint Secretary Saab has joined.
Okay.
So shall we start, sir?
Please.
Yes, we should start. Even now
Okay.
it's 11.
Yeah. Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to each one of you. I, Dr. Yogesh Shrivastava, welcome each and every participant and all the esteemed speakers today for this interactive webinar on, basically the name is OTT Platform, the new normal for Indian media and entertainment industry. मैं आप सभी का स्वागत करता हूं कि आज इस बेहतरीन कार्यक्रम में आज आप सब लोग हमारे संग जुड़ रहे हैं और आज के इस कार्यक्रम में मुझे ये बताते हुए बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि इंडस्ट्री से तो पार्टिसिपेशन लोगों का है ही है, बट वी आर वेरी लकी दैट वी हैव आवर विद अस टुडे आवर जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी ऑफ मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन एंड ब्रॉडकास्टिंग मिस्टर विक्रम सहाय, and he is also basically, I would say, from the chambers background, who started his career with Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. While when he will speak, I will be giving his detailed profile on that. And I am also very happy to share with you that along with in the technical session, though it is going to be moderated by Ms. Shagun Singhal Garg, she is a motivational speaker and educationist, but she will also speak as a panelist that how this ATT platform has actually changed the behavioral and how it is basically changing the behavior of the audience and etc. And we will be having Mr. Zubin Dobash, he is the COO of Digital Shimaru Entertainment Limited, Ms. Ashi Dua, founder Flying Unicorn Entertainment. Of course, my dear friend, Mr. Sushil Chowdhury, founder and CEO of Picture Time. So he will also be speaking on this, and we are very thankful that along with us, we have our chairman of the Media and Entertainment Committee, Mr. Mukesh Gupta, who is the backbone of this entire program. So with this introductory note, now I would like to request our president, Dr. D.K. Agarwal, President, PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to give his presidential address. Over to Dr. D.K. Agarwal.
Thank you, Dr. Yogesh. Good morning to all. On behalf of PhD Chamber of Commerce, I extend a very warm welcome to our chief guest of the day, Shri Vikram Sahai, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. I also extend a very warm welcome to the stalwarts from the industry, Mr. Zubin Dubash, CEO, Digital Shamru Entertainment Limited, Ms. Ashi Dua, founder of Flying Unicorn Entertainment, Mr. Sushil Chaudhary, founder and CEO of Picture Time, Ms. Shagun Singhal Garg, motivational speaker, columnist, and educationist, my Secretary General, Mr. Saurabh Sanyal, Mr. Mukesh Gupta, Chairman of our Media and Entertainment Committee, Dr. Yogesh Shrivastava, Principal Director, PhD Chamber of Commerce, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, again a very warm welcome to each one of you. First of all, I would like to congratulate our media division as well as our Media and Entertainment Committee for holding today's webinar on a very important topic, that is the OTT platform, the new normal for India media and entertainment industry. We have seen during these COVID times, the way the economy as well as the lives, they have been affected. It is unprecedented, and the effect of this COVID-19 had been very, very, I'll say, drastic. And one of the most affected industry was media and entertainment. It was not only the halting of production of film shooting, it was also the closing down of various movie halls, theaters, thematic parks. So, and even since the economy had been badly affected, so one of the most important revenue stream, which was advertisement income, which comes from various corporate houses, because the economy had a bad effect on the viability and profitability of these corporates. So even the advertisement income had been affected substantially. But one of the silver lining in this was the OTT platform, over the top platform, which actually is a silver lining. We have seen how we are now glued to this OTT platform, be it Netflix, be it Prime, be it this Hotstar, or Z5, or Eros. So these platforms, I think now there are more than 40 OTT platforms, and the number is increasing, seeing the popularity of these OTT platforms. So why these OTT platforms have become popular? One reason that it is, very convenient. When you go to see a movie, you have to spend your time on traveling to that place, to the movie hall, and then even the charges of a movie, because you have to have eatables. So even the charges are very high of that, even seeing one movie. Here, with very small subscription, sitting in the comfort of your bedroom or your living room with the snacks around, you can watch the movie, you can watch the documentaries, any informative program, and programs of your choice. Whether it is the genre of comedies, action movies, I mean whatever. So that comfort is available when you are watching through a OTT platform. Secondly, it is the entire family which can watch. Now there are some features which have been introduced. The party feature, where you're watching in your room, your kids are watching in their room, and you can chat while watching the same program. So these additional functionalities, the use of technology, is opening up new areas, new features in these OTT platform. And the most important part was that this is a new world. Now the working is happening from home. Even if you go to offices, only 50% of the staff are coming there. So most of the people are working from home. And this is going to be a new normal. So in these new normals, OTT has become the trend. There are many features which I would like to talk about, or many trends which are being witnessed. One, that now, because this OTT platform, to continue to be popular, a high quality content would be demanded by the subscribers. So though production has been halted, but I'm sure that with this platform becoming very popular, and with the India unlocking happening, so now the production would actually get a very high pace and high pitch. The film industry, which was really badly affected, but now this OTT platform is going to give them huge opportunities, the kind of content which would be desired. And now we have seen that number of films, they are getting released. Even the premiere is starting being happening on this OTT platform. We have seen movies like this Dil Bechara, the Gulabo Sitabo, Shakuntala Devi, Sadak 2. They had their premiere through OTT platform. And even going forward, I believe that the trend would be, even if, in maybe the first week, the movie is getting screened on a movie hall, but immediately, maybe by the second week, you would have these movies on these OTT platforms. So that's going to be the trend. And the kind of addiction, or the kind of habit which has been formed, now, it is no more the bedroom. The OTT platform has become part of the living room also. It is no more your digital, your laptop or your iPad, where you used to see these, use these OTT platforms. Now even your TV has, it has taken the, center stage. So with these trends happening, I'm sure that this sector is going to see some big highs in time to come. And my personal belief is that many movies which which used to see blockbuster performance, 100 million or like that. So maybe I would not be surprised that that kind of revenue is made on these OTT platforms, because the kind of coverage, now you can cover the entire world. There could be a situation where 100 crore people are watching a particular movie. There was a program, Money Heist. I don't remember exactly. I think it was Money Heist, which did not succeed in Spain. But when Netflix purchased the right of that program and they dubbed it in various languages, this has become the biggest hit of all the programs. So that is going to be the trend in OTT platform. So I'll not take much time because we have industry stalwarts, and we have our joint secretary who has kindly given his very valuable time to PhD Chamber of Commerce to share his views on this platform. I'm really thankful to him. And in fact, Yogesh was telling me that out of his busy schedule, though he was very busy, but still he said, no, I would be there to this program. And sir, thank you very much for being here today. And I also express my thanks to all the industry stalwarts who are here, who would be sharing their views. With this, I close here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Agarwal. Thank you, President. Thank you very much for your wonderful remarks. And you have set the tone of today's discussion. And before I request Shri Vikram Sahaji, he's the Joint Secretary, Policy and Administration, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Let me share with each one of you. My colleague Aparajita was in touch with him on a regular basis, and I would request Aparajita to please give a brief profile of Mr. Sahai before I request him to speak. Over to Aparajita.
Aparajita, you're on mute.
Aparajita, please unmute yourself.
Sorry. Thank you, Yogesh sir. Good morning to all. Firstly, I would really want to thank Shri Sahai ji to have accepted our invitation and grace the occasion with his presence. Shri Vikram Sahai belongs to the 1992 batch of Indian Revenue Services. Prior to joining the Government of India, sir had worked with FICCI for 2 years. He is a Master in Economics from Delhi School of Economics and an MBA in Public Services from University of Birmingham, UK. Sir has held several positions while working in the Income Tax Department and has dealt with important policy issues of tax administration as Deputy Secretary and also Director in the Central Board of Direct Taxes, which is CBDT, from 2003 to 2007. Shri Vikram Sahai ji worked as Director in the Ministry of Human Resource Development, where he had an opportunity to handle important policy matters relating to the Right to Education Act and the Teachers' Education. He also worked briefly with the University Grants Commission. Since May 2018, Sir has been working as Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, wherein he is handling policy matters relating to print media, information sector, broadcasting content, and regulation of private satellite TV channels. So we welcome you to the event, and it's on to you now.
Please do. I must give a big applause to Shri Sahai, and I must share it with you that Sahai Saab belongs to the chamber background, and he knows that why Secretariat, engages such kind of, interface with the people. So with this note, over to Mr. Sahai. All yours, sir.
Thank you so much. You're able to hear me, no? That's the problem.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
We can hear you.
Mr. D.K. Agarwal, President of the PhD Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Sanjay Agarwal, Senior Vice President. Dr. Yogesh Srivastava, Principal Director. Vice President of the PhD Chamber, and several other dignitaries who have joined today from various parts of the country, those who are members of the Chamber, those who are in the Secretariat of the Chamber. Secretariat holds special interest for me because I have worked in the Secretariat. I'll come to that later. But you just heard that I'm from the Revenue Service of the 92 batch. So a bit of a degree of idea of how corporates function. And therefore having worked in FICCI and then worked for the Revenue Service, I've had a very close interaction with corporates, and I have this affinity for the way, because corporates have been the real pivotal for the growth of this country. They have been there as businesses have grown, employment opportunities have grown. So they really are the fulcrum over which the economy runs. So it is one of the most important segments of our society. Well, since you did mention about me having had a background, I worked in FICCI from 91, 92. And that time it was a PhD chamber, and that we knew then it was a Punjab, Haryana, Delhi. But frankly, I can tell you that since then and now, PhD has grown in leaps and bounds. It is one of the most vibrant chambers of commerce. It has gone beyond the regional aspect. And even that time, I can tell you, even though it played the role of a younger brother to FICCI and CII, the type of intellectual inputs which were there and the outcomes which were there during the discussions and the seminars which PhD chamber conducted that time was no less important than what was conducted by whether it was ASSOCHAM or ASSOCHAM, of course, was the oldest among the chambers, and PhD chamber, and CII changed from CEI to CII at that time. I remember that time Mr. Bhaumik was there, the #2 in command in PhD chambers. Those who have been there for a long time would remember Mr. Bhaumik, a very respected and very learned person in PhD chamber. And my initial understanding of the chamber was from a great person whom some of you would be aware of, unfortunately is no more, Mr. D.H. Pai Panandekar, who was the Secretary General of FICCI. And what I learned from him, he was just a master's in economics from Pune University, but his understanding of the Indian economy would put to shame several economists which we talk about today. He was so clear about what should be done in the economy, what should be the role of the corporate sector, what should be the role of other sectors. And today I miss him in COVID times, when today all of us are grappling how to revive the economy. And we are looking for suggestions, we are looking for views. And had Mr. Pai Panandekar would be there, all of you, all the chambers, all the corporates, and the country as policy makers, we would have heavily benefited from him. And one of the important things, I just happened to go through one of your recent papers, which the PhD chamber came out with, the outlook of the media entertainment industry in COVID scenario. This paper ranks among the best papers which could have been produced in the current scenario. And I'm really, now I speak with full frankness. And the type of hard work which has gone behind this paper is really laudable. And I'm reminded of my own days in FICCI as a young assistant secretary. We used to prepare these committee papers, and we were very proud at that time to prepare a paper for the committee meetings. Committee meeting was the ultimate thing for us, to contributing to the committee meetings of FICCI. And that time we were more intellectually evolved. I remember I prepared a paper on the prospects of India's BOP, balance of payments, for the 8th five-year plan. And that got published in one of the edited books by Mr. Vivek Debroy, Dr. Vivek Debroy, who was then the Director General of IAFT. And thereafter I joined the government. So that was the first and the last publication I had. So it has been an intellectual downturn since I joined the government, because the type of intellectual inputs and growth which happens in a chamber of commerce, it is absolutely unparalleled. And if I'm here today, definitely for my affinity to the chambers, but I must mention Aparajita's real pursuant efforts. For the last 5 to 7 days, there's not a day she's not talked to me, trying to make me understand as to who are the audience, who are the people, why they want me here, and why it is important that somebody from the government be here. So really, your perseverance is very, very appreciable. I must thank you, Aparajita, for that. And all of you who have considered it befitting for me to attend this. Well, now let us come to the topic for which all of us have gathered here. The new normal of OTT. I think webinar has now become the most new normal. All of us are sitting through webinars, and we realize the power of internet, that without spending the time and money which we were earlier spending by organizing big conferences, calling everybody in an auditorium or a conference room, people spending so much time on traveling within the city, outside the city, we're all able to sit together like we are sitting today, and able to discuss as intensively and as convincingly as we would have had we been sitting physically together. So that is the power of technology. And that brings me to the power of technology which comes through the over-the-top platform. We call it OTT. We can call it online curated content providers, OCCPs. That is a more technical term which some of the corporates like to use, or some of the players would like to use. I am also aware that some of the OTT players are here. So I think a big congrats to all of you to have joined this bandwagon of becoming an OTT platform. Some of the Indian players are doing extremely well in the country. They are competing with the foreign ones, so they are no less, and that's really good. From the point of view of Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think it's important that all of you join together, because when you look at a SWOT analysis that I'll come to later, the importance of OTT will get highlighted. Now, coming to what government has been doing or government had tried to do, and what government would like to do, I would like to share a few things, not everything, but I'll share a few things. In the month of October, we held a seminar. It was like an open house seminar we held in Bombay, where we called all the OTT players, we called the corporates, we called from the people in the film industry, and we had a half-day-long discussion on the potential and possibilities of OTT, and whether government should at all enter into it. I mean, it is not necessary that every business needs to have a regulation. So that was the point we were trying to discuss. So, and the general understanding was that the best possibility where what can happen is there should be a self-regulating mechanism. And that is what was discussed there. But there were different models of self-regulation which were being floated or which were being thought of. And so we very categorically said that you yourself, amongst yourself, decide what type of self-regulating mechanism you want to have. Because, you know, in the area of media, self-regulation has been since ages. We have recognized is in TV industry, you have the BCCC for the general entertainment channels, you have the NBSA for the news channels. For advertising, you have the Advertising Standards Council of India at ASCI. Similarly, for newspapers, you have the Press Council of India. So self-regulation is something which is quite ingrained into the media industry. And we all have grown with that. Government also accepts it, appreciates it, and we have tried to recognize that. And that is what we spoke about when we met in Bombay in October. That was followed by another round of meeting we had at Chennai. That was in November. And we had participation from a large number of chambers, some of the corporates from South India. And that is also a very vibrant industry in the film industry and in the overall media industry in South India. That was followed up with I must say that the Internet and Mobile Association of India, IAMI, was playing a very, very proactive role in trying to bring all the OTT players together, trying to develop some type of an architecture for self-regulation. And then in the month of March, on the 2nd of March, we did have a meeting with the Honorable Minister, Prakash Javadekar ji. He had a meeting with the top OTT players in the ministry. And there was a few issues which people raised about the OTT model of self-regulation. So they were given some time to work upon it. Now, from there, where do we go now? Some type of model has been developed by the Internet and Mobile Association of India. They have shared with us. We are looking at it, but frankly, it is really the corporates who try to decide what type of self-regulation mechanism they want to have. Because self-regulation by definition has to be a regulation amongst yourself. How you discipline yourself, how you have your own code of ethics, how you have your own ways of looking at trying to see that what are the do's and don'ts of any type of business or any type of entity which takes place. Now, if you're trying to do something like a SWOT analysis, of the OTT. What are the strength? I think the biggest strength is technology. That is the biggest strength, that because of technology, and today technology aided with the fact that India has among the lowest internet mobile prices. And the internet mobile penetration today is around 60 crore. And the digital growth, digital entertainment growth in this country is around 22% at a compound annual growth rate of 22%. And India is going to become among the top 10 largest markets by 2022. These are the studies which have been brought to our knowledge. And so the biggest strength is technology driven, which OTT brings to the people of the country and those who are working in this entire market. One of the, I don't see much of a weakness if we look at W. One weakness could be that since this market is just emerging, these platforms are just emerging, the small players may still not be able to participate as an OTT platform. Because today your revenues, because the advertisement revenues are very little here right now when you are on the platform. So there would be some difficulty for the smaller players to start an OTT platform right away. But maybe a few years down the line, you can also, that weakness will get removed as this sector blossoms and the sector burgeons. The biggest part of the SWOT analysis is the opportunity which this brings it. It's a wide spectrum of entertainment. When we were mentioning about a lot of movies getting released on OTT, we have some fabulous movies which have come. And it's like anytime, anywhere. You are anywhere where you are, if you want to watch a movie, you want to watch a web series, whether you're at your home, if you are in a mobile, you have gone to some other place, you want to watch it, you can watch it. Anytime, anywhere is something which is a big opportunity for the consumers. They have a wide spectrum. It is not time bound. It is not time constrained. It is up to you, your choice. Third, the costing. It's at a very, very minimal cost. And some of the channels, some of the platforms are free. Some of the channels, some of the platforms are subscribed, but the subscription also is not a very big amount. So at a low or a medium range subscription amount, you have a wide choice of entertainment. Along with entertainment, you're also looking at sports, you're looking at news, all those things. That is another important aspect which is important. But I see the most important opportunity is for the large creative talent which is there in this country among the youngsters. He could be a musician, he could be a script writer, he could be an art director, he could be a cinematographer, he could be a photographer. All these people, he could be an actor. All these people have got a big opportunity, and it is incumbent upon the big players, those who are in the platform, to encourage all these youngsters to participate in the various productions of web series and etc. That is a major, I would say, responsibility for the big corporates, and also an opportunity, because what the younger talent has, they are much brighter than what we were when we were small. We were very, very unsmart. This young generation is very, very smart, very creative, very talented. So let us all give them an opportunity through the OTT platform. And as we see that films are now moving from the theater to the OTT platform, OTT has become the future of entertainment. As and when the COVID situation improves, the theaters will open up. They will open up maybe a few months down the line, we don't know when, depending on the situation. But this is an alternate which people have, that they can, sitting in their confines of their houses or wherever they are, they can watch the movie rather than going to the theater. Well, some people would still like to go to the theater because theater has its own charm. It's a big screen thing, a big different environment. But another option has been opened up because of OTT. As far as the opportunities are concerned, these are unbound. Now, and with improvement in technology, the opportunities will grow, not only in India, across the world. Another big opportunity, therefore, is how do we use our innate talent in the country to produce good series which you can export abroad. I mean, India's series, if we have some of the films, some of the series, would be one of the best or the most wanted in various parts of the world. If we are able to use our talent and our resources efficiently, if we are able to dub in various languages, in various languages, then we can be among the world leaders as far as preparing good web series, which we can go across the world, whether it is in Southeast Asia, whether it is in America, in Europe. The way we watch some French and Spanish movies, I can conceive 5 years down the line, a lot of good Indian movies, a lot of good Indian web series would become popular in various other parts of the country. That is a big opportunity, and that is something which we should really work upon. So whether it is PhD chamber or other chambers of commerce, if they have this division which works upon what you call external outreach or international outreach, they should really work upon that and how we can gel the external outreach strategy with the OTT. So these are all very good stories as far as OTT is concerned. Now, the last part is the threat. And the threat is becoming a bit of a concern. And ever since I got involved into holding these seminars in Bombay and Chennai and other things, I actually started watching a few of them. Some of these web series, some of these serials on the various Indian platforms. I have been watching Netflix and Amazon Prime, but people told me also watch the Indian ones. So I started watching a few of them. And frankly, it is, some of them are such that you cannot, it's unmentionable. And the content is so crass that, I mean, you would not like to watch it with your spouses. That is a worrisome thing as far as our own productions are concerned. Now, that surprises me because the type of talent which we have in this country, there is no reason why we should be producing anything which is below top tiers. Creativity is there's so much extra abound in our country that I see no reason why I should be preparing some C-grade type of productions in our country. And that is really a matter of concern. And all of us as responsible citizens of the country, whether you are in corporate, whether you are working in the secretariat or any other place as an audience, we must come together and ensure. And that is where I talk about self-regulation and self-discipline. Let us put a clamp on anything which is absolutely crass, doesn't befit us as a nation to display before the people within the country and outside the country. And it totally is your own understanding, your own ethics, which makes you do differently or not do differently. It is not the government's job, or it was never the government's intention to put clamps or regulations on what is happening on OTT. It was never been the government's thing. We want it to evolve in a self-regulatory fashion. And at all, if it will be like soft touch regulation, like you have in TV, you have in print, it has to be like a soft touch where the industry grows the way in a very natural way. We do not want to have any clamps over it. Like in press or in TV, there are no really clamps on it. The content is something which is totally in the hands of the producer and the creator. Similar things should happen even in OTT. And at the same time, I must say some very good web series have come in India. Some very good films have been produced, and they have been shown directly on the OTT platform. That's a very happy sign. But my own caution is, and that is the concern, you will not even imagine the number of letters which we get by the day from citizens across the country, raising some issue or the other, whether it was on content, whether it was on the language, whether it was on the issue of vulgarity. When creativity or lack of regulation cannot be an alibi for giving something this grace. I mean, none of us would accept that. It has never happened in India. It should not happen. We all respect freedom of expression. You all understand the meaning of freedom of expression as a constitutional right. But let us give something which all of us are proud of as citizens, as businessmen, as responsible parents. All of us have different roles to play in the society. So in that role, let us respect our roles and let us do something which the posterity says, oh, you did a wonderful job at that time, notwithstanding that there were no regulations, notwithstanding that there were no bars for it. So if that happens, that will be the best thing that can happen. And I'm very, very sure that with all of you coming together, all the chambers coming together, all the corporates coming together, and trying to put your minds over having these forums. I did attend a few others before, and I feel that all these forums have a great utility in trying to understand each other, trying to understand the views of the various cross-section of stakeholders. Because corporate is one stakeholder, the audience is another stakeholder, normal citizen is another stakeholder. There are various stakeholders. So this, what PhD Chamber has done today, and I'm really grateful to all of you to have brought so many people together for discussing a very, very important issue. To bring so many views together on one platform and then trying to evolve sort of a common practice or an SOP, which all of us can work together. It's in the government, business, technology people, everything work together. So I think I've taken more time than what I was allotted. Sorry for that. But thank you very much, all of you, for having heard me very patiently. I look forward to your interactions in the time to come. I'll be around. I'll be going a bit here, but I'll be around listening to all of you. I may not be visible, but I'll be listening to all of you. And if anything is there I want to comment upon, or I'll surely come back to you. Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sai Saab. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, मैं आप सबकी जानकारी के लिए बता दूं, from policy advocacy to making a policy, that is the journey which Mr. Sahai has, traveled, I would say, from FICCI to working now as a joint secretary, P&A, that is policy and administration. What we do in chamber, we do policy advocacy, and we basically go to the joint secretary and secretaries कि सर ये हम advocacy करने आए हैं. तो सर आप समझ सकते हैं कि हम कहाँ से जो हम एडवोकेसी की बात करते हैं और आपके लेवल पर जब हम जाके उसको इम्प्लीमेंटेशन की बात करते हैं. तो बहुत अच्छा सर, आपने कई सारे पॉइंट्स दिए. इससे पहले कि मैं अपने दूसरे स्पीकर को मैं बुलाऊं, मैं कुछ पॉइंट्स जो है साय साहब ने जो रेज किए वो मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि 2-3 पॉइंट्स विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन जो साय साहब ने बताया. सेल्फ रेगुलेशन की इसके अंदर सबसे ज्यादा आवश्यकता है. क्या अब हम उस इरा में हैं कि जब हम फिल्मों को देखते थे, शादी होती थी, दो फूल आपस में आकर के मिलते थे एंड देन हमको समझ में आता था. सेंसर बोर्ड आया, सेंसर ने कई सारी चीजें करी. क्या अब हम उस इरा में हैं कि हम फिर से उन फूलों को आपस में मिलाएं और बताएं कि हाँ एक जो कपल है वो प्यार कर रहा है? तो इन पॉइंट्स को मद्देनजर रखते हुए जहां पे साय साहब ने कहा कि हमको सेल्फ रेगुलेशन की जरूरत है, हमारे बीच हमारे मुकेश गुप्ता जी जो कि हमारे चेयरमैन हैं मीडिया एंड एंटरटेनमेंट कमेटी के, जो कि इनसाइक्लोपीडिया हैं एडवर्टाइजिंग वर्ल्ड के. इनके पास अपना एक इलेक्ट्रॉनिक टीवी चैनल है. मुकेश जी प्लीज मुझे अलाउ करिए, मैं आपका एक ब्रीफ प्रोफाइल भी देना चाहूंगा. मुकेश जी, हम आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे, since we know that you are connected with Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, we know that you are very deep into Bharatiya Janata Party. We also know that कि आपने इस मुद्दे पर पर्सनली ऑन दी अदर डे हम जब माननीय श्री प्रकाश जावड़ेकर जी से मिलने गए, अनफॉर्चुनेटली डॉक्टर DK अग्रवाल हमारे जो प्रेसिडेंट हैं हमारे संग नहीं आ पाए. मई के महीने की बात है, मुझे बहुत अच्छे से याद है, हमारे सीनियर वाइस प्रेसिडेंट संघ में थे. आपने OTT के बारे में माननीय प्रकाश जी से बहुत अच्छे से बात भी करी, जो हमारे केंद्रीय मंत्री हैं। मुकेश जी, मेरा आपसे आज एक विनम्र निवेदन ये रहेगा कि आज आप बजाय उस कैप के जो आपने राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक की संघ की पहनी है या बीजेपी की पहनी है, मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, सिंस यू आर द ओनर ऑफ ए टीवी चैनल, यू आर एन encyclopedia ऑफ एन एडवर्टाइजिंग इंडस्ट्री, काइंडली गिव योर थॉट कि इस इंडस्ट्री को, जैसा साहिब साहब ने बताया कि सेल्फ रेगुलेशन में आना चाहिए, क्या हम सेल्फ रेगुलेशन में रहें? क्या हमें इसमें किसी सेंसर बोर्ड की आवश्यकता है? हम कैसे अपने संस्कारों को भी ध्यान में रखते हुए, साहिब साहब ने बहुत अच्छी बात करी कि कुछ ऐसे चैनल हैं जो आप अपने स्पाउस के संग बैठ करके नहीं देख सकते, क्या हम इस तरह की चीजों को अपनी इस भारतीय संस्कृति में आगे चलन रख सकते हैं? इन सारे मुद्दों पर हम चाहेंगे, मुकेश जी, आप अपना कंक्लूडिंग रिमार्क्स तो इस इनॉग्रल सेशन का देंगे ही, वोट ऑफ थैंक्स देंगे, लेकिन उससे पहले हम मुकेश जी आपसे विनम्र प्रार्थना करेंगे कि आप एज ए इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट, एज ए चैनल होल्डर, सिंस आपने कई फिल्मों को भी प्रोड्यूस किया है, आपका क्या इसके ऊपर विचार है? ओवर टू श्री मुकेश गुप्ता जी, चेयरमैन मीडिया एंड एंटरटेनमेंट कमेटी, पीएचडी चैम्बर।
धन्यवाद योगेश जी, और सबसे ज्यादा धन्यवाद विक्रम साहे जी का। उन्होंने इतना अच्छा, बहुत कम समय में इतनी अच्छी जानकारी दी, और मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा कि उन्होंने प्लस माइनस दोनों की बात ओटीटी के बारे में की। हमने ओटीटी के प्रोग्राम के लिए लगभग 6 महीने पहले इस प्रोग्राम को कंसीव किया था, और बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट इसको करने का एक ही था कि मैं लगातार ये देखता था कि ओटीटी पर जो प्रोग्राम्स आ रहे हैं, अच्छे प्रोग्राम तो हैं, वो तो ठीक है, लेकिन जो प्रोग्राम इतने खराब हैं, जैसे साहे साहब ने भी बताया कि आप फैमिली के साथ बैठ के नहीं देख सकते, और उसमें इतना मार धाड़, इतनी बुरी तरीके से हत्याएं की जा रही हैं, हिंसा दिखाई जा रही है। तो मैं सोचता यही रहा कि भी सेंसर बोर्ड का क्या फायदा, क्यों फिल्मों के ऊपर सेंसर, फिर तो फिल्मों को भी खुला छोड़ दो, बनाने दो जैसी बनेंगी। तो उस सब्जेक्ट को लेकर के ये डिस्कशन करना बहुत जरूरी था, इसलिए ये प्रोग्राम हमने कंसीव किया था। हर चीज के प्लस माइनस होते हैं। ओटीटी बहुत, अगर एज ए बिजनेस मॉडल हम देखें तो बहुत बढ़िया मॉडल है, और ये सैटेलाइट टीवी चैनल से ज्यादा अच्छा इकोनॉमिकल मॉडल है। और अगर मैं एज ए बिजनेस बात करूं तो मेरे को लगता है कि चैनल वाले जो हैं, चैनल वालों को अपने चैनल छोड़ छोड़ के इधर की तरफ आ जाना चाहिए। वो इतना इकोनॉमिकल मॉडल है। बेसिकली कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है, बहुत सारे लोगों को शायद अभी तक भी नहीं पता होगा कि कोई सैटेलाइट टीवी चैनल चलाने के लिए हमें जाना पड़ेगा आईएनबी के पास। आईएनबी मिनिस्ट्री से हमें उसका लाइसेंस लेना पड़ेगा, जबकि ओटीटी चैनल में आईएनबी का कोई रोल ही नहीं है। वो आईटी मिनिस्ट्री में एक वो अप्लाई करो, ऐप बनाओ, और आपका ओटीटी चैनल शुरू। कोई लंबा चौड़ा कॉस्ट नहीं, कोई सरकार की फीस नहीं है कोई। तो उस तरह से करके ये ओटीटी चैनल शुरू हो गए। बात आई फिर कंटेंट की। शुरू शुरू में जो हॉटस्टार आया, या अमेजन या नेटफ्लिक्स, इन्होंने डेफिनेटली कंटेंट बहुत अच्छे दिए, लेकिन साइड बाय साइड वो जैसे होता है कि हमें तो जी अपनी व्यूअरशिप देखनी है, व्यूअरशिप को क्या पसंद है, उन्होंने वही मार धाड़ और वो सब सेक्स और जो गंदे से गंदा कंटेंट हो सकता था वो सीरियल भी लेकर के और दिखाने शुरू कर दिए। अब बात सेल्फ रेगुलेशन की जब आती है, तो अगर सेल्फ रेगुलेशन हो सकता तो शायद हमें सेंसर बोर्ड की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ती, फिल्मों से भी सेंसर बोर्ड हटा दिया गया होता। आज आप देखो सेल्फ रेगुलेशन में क्या है, कोरोना चल रहा है, कोरोना के टाइम में सरकार को पेनल्टीज लगाने की क्यों जरूरत पड़ती है? आपने मास्क नहीं लगा रखा, गाड़ी में जा रहे हो आप, क्यों पेनल्टी लग रही है? पेनल्टी इसीलिए लग रही है कि आप मास्क जरूर लगाएं। आपका एक बार चालान हो गया तो आप हमेशा मास्क लगाओगे। ट्रैफिक पुलिस चालान क्यों करती है? वो भी हमें सेल्फ रेगुलेशन में आना चाहिए ना, हमें रेड लाइट क्रॉस नहीं करनी, लेकिन नहीं होता। तो बेसिकली सेल्फ रेगुलेशन कभी नहीं आएगा। प्रकाश जावड़ेकर जी ने भी पिछले दिनों एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में इस बात को रखा। मीटिंग्स में भी रखा कि भी सेल्फ रेगुलेशन लाएं, लेकिन वो होने वाला नहीं है। अल्टीमेटली गवर्नमेंट को ये कदम उठाना पड़ेगा कि ये गंदा कंटेंट किसी भी हालत में ओटीटी पर नहीं आना चाहिए। अभी तो 2-3 चैनल तो मैं तो सुनकर के हैरान रह गया, बल्कि मैंने किसी ने मेरे को बताया जी उस पर बड़ा कंटेंट जरा देखो तो सही क्या है। एक चैनल है जी उल्लू, अगर आप उसका कंटेंट देख लो तो आप मतलब देख ही नहीं सकते। ऐसी फिल्में दिखाते, ऐसे वो सीरियल्स दिखा रहे हैं, मेरे को हैरानी ये हो रही है कि उसकी प्रोडक्शन तक कैसे हो जाती है। वो तो XXX मूवीज दिखा रहे हैं बिल्कुल कंप्लीटली, आप देख नहीं सकते। तो ऐसे ऐसी चीजों को गवर्नमेंट रोक ही नहीं पा रही है। और हमारा आज का प्रोग्राम का पर्पस ये भी था कि हम इस प्रोग्राम के माध्यम से सरकार तक एक, या प्रोड्यूसर्स या स्टेक होल्डर्स, सब तक कम से कम एक बात ये जरूर रखें कि ये इन सब पे रोक होनी चाहिए। अब बात आती है कि अच्छे कंटेंट की। अच्छा कंटेंट की वैसे कोई परिभाषा नहीं होती, लेकिन सिंपल एक ही चीज है कि जी जो एथिकल भी हो, देशभक्ति के भी हों, धार्मिक भी हों। हमने जब साधना टीवी चैनल शुरू किया था तो मैक्सिमम लोग ये कहते थे जी क्या शुरू कर रहे हो, धार्मिक चैनल कौन देखेगा, और आप तो लुट जाओगे, इसमें आप पैसा ही नहीं कमा सकते। आपको सुनकर के हैरानी होगी, साधना टीवी चैनल में जो हम प्रॉफिट में हैं और इतने सालों से चला रहे हैं, और साधना पे अच्छी इनकम शुरू हुई तो हमें एक चैनल, उस पे कंटेंट इतना ज्यादा हो गया कि हमें एक नया चैनल और शुरू करना पड़ा, धार्मिक ईश्वर चैनल। उसके ऊपर भी कंटेंट पूरा है और लोग उसको खूब देखते हैं, बहुत अच्छी टीआरपी उसमें आती है, खूब अच्छा चल रहा है। तो खाली ऐसा नहीं है कि बेकार बेकार चीजें ही लोग देखना पसंद करते हैं, अच्छी चीजें भी देखते हैं। और अगर अब एक प्रोग्राम इसमें अच्छे प्रोग्राम्स की मैं अगर बात करूं, एक प्रोग्राम आ रहा है जी धर्म क्षेत्र। पता नहीं आप लोगों में से किसी ने देखा होगा नहीं देखा होगा, लेकिन अगर आप देखना शुरू करेंगे तो आपको इतना अच्छा लगेगा। जैसे रामायण महाभारत को देख करके बड़ा अच्छा लगता था पूरे परिवार को, ऐसे धर्म क्षेत्र में ऐसी बातें आपको देखने सुनने को मिलेंगी जो आपको लगेगा हमें पूरे परिवार को वो बातें बतानी चाहिए। ऐसे एक देवलोक प्रोग्राम है, वो बड़ा अच्छा है। बहुत सारे अच्छे प्रोग्राम इसमें, जैसे अभी ये हमारे डीके साहब ने भी कहा, मनी हाइस्ट, एक वो बड़ा अच्छा प्रोग्राम नेटफ्लिक्स पर आ रहा है। दिल्ली क्राइम बहुत पॉपुलर प्रोग्राम, बहुत अच्छा आ रहा है। तो ऐसे अच्छे प्रोग्राम्स भी बहुत आ रहे हैं, लेकिन ये जो गंदा कंटेंट है ये डेफिनेटली हमारे सोशली अगर देखें समाज को कहीं ना कहीं बहुत गलत दिशा में लेकर के जाता है। और एक चीज और है कि समाज में गलत चीजों को लेने वाले लोग ज्यादा होते हैं। तो गवर्नमेंट को इस चीज पे तुरंत मेरे हिसाब से तो एक्शन लेना चाहिए और इन चीजों को रोकना चाहिए। ओटीटी का एक बहुत अच्छा प्लस पॉइंट ये रहा है कि हमारे यहाँ पे टैलेंट की कमी नहीं है, क्रिएटिव बहुत अच्छा है। बॉम्बे में अगर जाएं, बॉलीवुड में जाएं तो इतने अच्छे आर्टिस्ट हैं, हमारी प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट बहुत अच्छी है। जैसे साहिब साहब ने बताया कि हमारे पास सॉफ्टवेयर एक्सपोर्ट का भी बहुत अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी इसमें हो सकती है, हमारा हम प्रोडक्शन अच्छी कर सकते हैं। तो ओटीटी ने इन चीज़ों के लिए बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटीज दी हैं, बहुत नए प्रोड्यूसर्स दिए हैं, नए आर्टिस्ट दिए हैं। तो अगर हम उसको अच्छे ढंग से करेंगे तो डेफिनेटली अच्छा होगा। और मेरी एक सजेशन और है, जैसे गवर्नमेंट ने दूरदर्शन के अपने इतने सारे चैनल चला रखे हैं, अलग अलग लैंग्वेज, अलग अलग कंटेंट के हिसाब से, ऐसे ही भारत सरकार अगर ओटीटी प्लेटफॉर्म पर भी अपने कुछ चैनल शुरू करे और अपने भारत सरकार की उपलब्धियों को, भारत सरकार के प्रोग्राम्स को दिखाएं, तो उसका डेफिनेटली कहीं ना कहीं बहुत बेनिफिट होगा। कि जो वोकल फॉर लोकल की बात करते हैं, मेक इन इंडिया की बात करते हैं, तो उसका बहुत सारे लोगों को फायदा होगा। अभी हमारा जैसे डीआरडीओ है, सीएसआईआर है, ये नई नई क्रिएशन कर रहे हैं, नए अपॉर्चुनिटीज पैदा कर रहे हैं, नए प्रोडक्ट्स लेकर के आ रहे हैं। तो उन सब का हमारी बिजनेस कम्युनिटी बेनिफिट ले सकती है। हमारे पीएसयूज बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, उनको पीएसयूज की हम अचीवमेंट दिखा सकते हैं, तो भारत सरकार को भी इस बारे में सोचना चाहिए जरूर, और कुछ ना कुछ हमें सरकार के भी OTT शुरू होने चाहिए। तो मैं बहुत ज़्यादा समय नहीं लूँगा, हालांकि कुछ थोड़ा सा लगता है मैंने ज़्यादा ही बोला है, लेकिन धन्यवाद। मैंने अपने कंटेंट्स जो मेरे माइंड में थे जो भी, वो मैंने पूरा आप सबके साथ शेयर किया। थैंक्स, थैंक यू।
थैंक यू मुकेश जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच। आपने बिल्कुल अपने कंटेंट जो बताए वो बिल्कुल OTT प्लेटफॉर्म जैसे दिखा रहा है, उसी तरीके से आपने अपने कंटेंट हमारे सम्मुख अपने पेश किए। और मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि जितने भी कंसर्न्ड स्टेक होल्डर्स हमारे इस प्रोग्राम को सुन रहे हैं, हमारे दर्शक जो इस प्रोग्राम को देख रहे हैं, सर्टेनली ये बात दूर तक जाएगी कि कैसे, जैसे कि साहिब साहब ने बताया, कि हम अपने आप को सेल्फ रेगुलेट करें, और जैसा आप कह रहे हैं कि भारत सरकार को इसके अंदर जरूर चिप इन करना चाहिए और इसको रेगुलराइज करना चाहिए। सो विद दिस नोट नाउ we have come to very meaningful discussions now we are going to have as a technical session, and this entire session is going to be moderated by one of our new members and a dear friend, Ms. Shagun Singhal Garg. She is a motivational speaker and educationist. And ladies and gentlemen, let me also share it with you. In this technical session, which will have a session till 12:20, in this session, we will be having Mr. Zubin. He's the COO, Digital Shimaru Entertainment Limited. Ms. Ashi Dua, the founder, Flying Unicorn Entertainment. Mr. Sushil Chaudhary, founder and CEO, Picture Time. Before I hand over to Shagunji, I would request my dear colleague Simran to kindly give a brief profile of Ms. Shagun Singhal Garg. Over to Simran.
Thank you, Yogesh sir. It's my honor to welcome Ms. Shagun Singhal Garg. She's a renowned motivational speaker, columnist, and educationist. She's a woman with true courage, compassion, and talent. Her expertise lie in leadership, peak human performance, mental stress, emotional intelligence, improving business relation, and mindful parenting. As a moderation, her skills have been recognized by leading corporates nationally and internationally by bringing out true essence and meaning of the event. She is critically acclaimed as the national columnist. Her inspiring articles have empowered masses around the country in national newspapers and publications like Business World, Hindustan Times, The News Agency, and many more. She has also worked as ex-director at Genesis Learning Studios and a visionary entrepreneur who started a leading children enrichment center, a prominent beyond school destination with internationally acclaimed IB school, Genesis Global in NCR. She's a TV producer with national challenge by producing shows and documentaries on women empowerment. She has also served as brand strategist and communication consultant with Z News, News 24, E24 Primary News, and branding assistant at Ad Labs Big 92.4 FM. She has also served as branding and media consultant with National Mission for Empowerment of Women under Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India. She has also displayed as a leading actor and model in prominent ad campaigns as well. She is a Padma holder in yoga. Shagun is an enthusiast national level folk dancer and a state level air rifle shooter. She's a sports enthusiast and also a national level karate player. I welcome Shagun ma'am in the webinar. Over to Yogesh sir.
Thank you, Simran. Thank you very much for a wonderful profile of Ms. Shagun Singhal. शागुन जी, आज आपके ऊपर एक बहुत बड़ी हम PhD चैम्बर की तरफ से जिम्मेवारी है। जो भी आज का लबो-लुआब, जो आज हमारे इस कंटेंट, जो हमारे टेक्निकल सेशन का जो बनेगा, जैसा कि मैंने प्रॉमिस किया है श्री विक्रम सहाय जी को, हम इस पूरे प्रोग्राम्स के मिनट्स बना करके as a policy advocacy duly approved by Shri Mukesh Gupta ji and of course our President Dr. D.K. Agarwal, we will certainly be sending it to all the concerned stakeholders in the government. So the entire session which you are going to chair this will certainly have a path breaking I would say policy in future. So over to Shagun.
You have to unmute.
Please unmute yourself, Shagun ji.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Simran, for that warm welcome, and thank you, Yogesh ji. That was quite an inspiring session and so much to hear and learn from our seniors. Namaskar, मैं हूँ Shagun Singhal Garg, and I'm a very happy and a positive member of PhD Chamber of Commerce, and a proud one now. And I hope I can add meaning to this journey under the leadership of such dignitaries. And a very warm welcome to all the senior dignitaries and all the members here. OTT, a very interesting topic. Mr. Sahai, Mr. DK Agarwal, Mr. Gupta, all the suggestions and all the sharings that you have done are so valuable to me. I'm taking them forward in my own little way. Over the top media service की जो एक basic definition है, it's online content that offers streaming media as a standalone product. ये इसकी official definition है. The term is applied to video on demand platforms, also refers to audio streamings, messaging services, and internet-based voice calls. This is the official terminology. As long as you have an internet connection, which is on your mobile phone or locally, you will have OTT at leisure. What makes OTT so appealing? High value content for low cost. Number two, original as well as consumer centric content, which is as per today's changing trends in India. Content पे मैं ज़्यादा focus नहीं करूँगी because there is a longer debate which the panelists will touch on. Number three, compatibility with media devices, whether be it your smart tablets, gaming consoles, phones, you can log in from any device and we are not restricted to our television sets. Therefore, there is convenience in viewing. आप जहाँ बैठे हैं, जैसे बैठे हैं, you can keep hopping on the content that you like. Due to coronavirus, we are all actually restricted in our homes, and gradually and softly we started moving to OTT from 20th of March. The crisis actually gave rise to a very big appetite of online content, if I were to say this. You know, the outside mediums of consumption of entertainment have actually nilled. Content banna band ho gaya, shootings were halted, of course, because of the virus. There was lack of content on a lot of platforms. News channels were running out of content as a layman's perspective. And then what happened? There was a softer shift to OTT. OTT has actually revolutionized the way content is produced, created, and streamlined in this country. Come to think of it, audience wants a dearth of content, and there is no doubt that OTT is catering to this need magnificently. जैसे कि Dr. DK Agarwal ने कहा कि newer habits are forming and they are asserting the trends. ये बहुत बड़ी बात है. Consumer taste is definitely the king, and there is no denying that. You know, if we come to think of it, 24/7 availability of umpteen content, a remote control in your hand, easy to navigate and understand. समझ में आता है, button दबाएंगे जहाँ बैठे हैं. As per the user's mood, happy mood, you can watch a comedy movie. A quest for knowledge, you can watch a documentary. You're in an aggressive note or you want to watch the histories, you can watch some war films. As per your choices. What does it result to? OTT के basics behavioral patterns पे जाते हैं. It actually makes the viewer sit back, stick around, subscribe to an app, believing to pay for something that the viewer wants to view at that point of time and second. So there is an instant gratification of an urge which is there with the total choice and control in your hands at that point of time, feeling the value of money. This is the consumer's perspective. Therefore, the rise in trend in OTT. These are just basics. Will OTT define the industry norms? Will OTT redefine the structuring of the theaters? What will happen to our viewing habits? Have we changed, and is this change permanent? These are all the questions we're going to be dealing with today. ये format basis था, but I'm going to be now coming to my topic as a panelist as assigned to me, which was behavioral changes and habit formations. COVID-19 has definitely changed the story in the pandemic. Socializing has moved online. If we look at it, all the entertainment consumption patterns at home have risen drastically. इसके सिर्फ दो ही reasons हैं. लोग relatively freer हो गए थे lockdown में, and external consumptions of models had shut down, like the museums, theaters, parks, because of physical distancing. Like we said, and Dr. DK Agarwal said, consumer behavior is drastically changing. You look at it, physical distancing, virtual meetings from the house, totally being, trapped in a space where you can create out of without meeting each other. This is the new norm. Actually, working from home may continue for a longer run, and businesses have changed their strategies, like we're seeing in news every day. Due to the ease of access, ये थोड़ी गौर करने वाली बात है. Ease of access has driven to habit formations, and now these habit formations are building the future trends, the key drivers for at-home digital media. Therefore, OTT is taking to locations and demographics. Now, once the crisis is over, how I look at it from behavioral perspective as a motivational speaker also is that there'll be a huge psychological hangover of the virus, and people will definitely not step out in the public forums, especially in the cities where the coronavirus was at its peak. And like Mr. Sahai, Vikram Sahai just mentioned, that technology will play a pivotal role in the future trends. There'll be people will adopt to new delivery models. एक बड़ी आसानी की बात कहूंगी. If India lies in the urban metropolitan cities, I'm from a small town. Hindustan or Bharat lies in the block levels, in the real cities, in the smaller cities, and in the villages. Livelihoods are affected. Medium businesses band ho gaye hain. Cash cuts hain. Flow cuts ho gaye hain. There are no increments. People have lost their jobs. And now media and entertainment as an industry, income-wise, is inelastic, which means कि आने वाले समय में we will see reduction in spends maybe on media and entertainment, and some of the entertainment might become aspirational to many. This is the post-COVID world, how we look at it as experts. COVID-19 has done miracles. $1 billion advertising होती थी, वो ये नहीं कर पाई जो COVID-19 ने कर दिया. COVID-19 ने actually preferences को change किया है. What are preferences? They are a very hard nut to crack. Human beings के अंदर preferences होती हैं. They're not easy to change. A short example. People who used to actually say that, I'm not going to do online shopping because मुझे touch and feel पसंद है product का. They are the same people from 20th of March who are actually, because of the compulsion of moving into your zones and not stepping out, overcoming the fear of using technology, have started shopping online. All the festivals are happening, weddings are happening, giftings are happening. Why? Because they've overcome that fear. एक compulsion ने उन्हें सिखा दिया. Now the question is, we link it to the media and entertainment industry. Why will these people actually move back to the level of inconvenience of driving down to a mall, shopping for a product, taking all the pain which is available at a click, and आपने technique सीख ली है, and coronavirus के इस era ने हमें वो technique सिखा दी है. So there are chances of these people still continuing the way they live right now in the pandemic. अगर हम cinema halls पे आते हैं, if we look at the popcorn culture, even if the 1,000 seating arrangement by the cinema halls is reduced to 500 with alternate seating and physical distancing, how I look at the industry perspective is, can you imagine breaking that psychological barrier after November? If someone tells us if the vaccine is here, would you be able to step out and go sit in a cinema hall of 500 people, believing that those 500 people never had a COVID history in their family? That's a very, very difficult barrier to block, and that links it up with the media and entertainment industry, and therefore OTT is here to stay. Post-COVID world mein, we'll see consumer behavior trends changing culturally. We are a very consumer, community-driven country with a lot of group activities. यहाँ पे religion, media, entertainment, sports, religion, सब एक साथ चलता है, but with a huge group activity scenario. Even in the pandemic, शादियां हो रही थी. People were going for their religious gatherings, although it led to a spread, but they were telling God that you are one for us, and that's the culture of our country. A lot of people do believe in it. So cultures will actually dwindle and rise some businesses, though there'll be a lot of surprises for businesses in the post-COVID world. No shooting was happening since 20th March. Content khatam ho gaya. There were incomplete stories. Serials dekhte dekhte beech mein stories khatam ho gayi. Why move to OTT? People move to OTT because human beings as people do not like incomplete stories. They wanted completion. They wanted snapshots and compatible stories. OTT pe gaye, Amazon, Netflix, etc. pe login kiya. What happened? Traffic increased. Now, the real scenario, why OTT was growing. Traffic increased because सब लोग घर में बंद थे. We all were in the same houses, but we were logging into different media platforms, consuming the same service and logging into different content from our phones, from our tablets, from our iPads in different rooms in the house. Why did that happen? Because compulsion brought us in under one roof. People wanted to establish their individuality and their sense of individualism. The son will never watch what the father is watching. The son may go down to the latest releases. The grandparents may go down to the Pakistani serials. You will have the children moving on to Avengers. Ek liberalism, ek sense of individuality, of choosing to watch what I want to watch, my kind of content. That has given a big push to OTT, because that is what OTT does. Gives you a wide wave of variety, and that is the rising shine of OTT. You know, film festivals now are going global. Unka global model taiyar hai. They are cutting geographical boundaries. I'm just talking what is going to happen on OTT in future. You know, they're actually, if you have a Shah Rukh Khan who's going to attend a digital film festival, why I'm talking of him is because he's still my favorite, and he can still shoot for a film and attend a digital film festival. Behaviorally, you are rising, giving rise to the economy. And if you've done this sort of behavior, acceptance in the pandemic, question is, post-COVID world में हम क्यों ऐसा नहीं करेंगे? The digital models are here to stay. Live entertainment will only see masked gatherings. There will not be any mass gatherings, but masked gatherings will come on, because live entertainment is all about hugging, giving a high five, grouping, and this is physical touch. Physical distancing is the norm, and there's nothing over health. I'm coming to my concluding point, which is isolation and sense of being on your own, which the virus has pushed us on into, has given rise to digital companions. I'm coming to the thought process of what Mr. Mukesh Gupta said, which is very, very important, that, you know, लोग नया कंटेंट देखना चाहते हैं जो उनकी लाइफ को अपलिफ्ट करे. Now what is happening on OTT? Suddenly you have this real flavor of people building their demigods. इन्हें हम demigods बोलते हैं, of people who become your digital companions. Digital companion आपका बन जाते हैं, आपके father, आपकी mother, आपकी grandmother एक ही कमरे में बैठे हुए अपने फोन पे काम करेंगे, लेकिन उस समय आप अपने डेमीगॉड को अब्सॉर्ब करेंगे जो हमें OTT की सर्विस प्रोवाइड करती है. उसमें क्या हो रहा है? You will have a Baba Ramdev who's giving you different kinds of content, and अलग-अलग प्रकार का content है. You will have a Shilpa Shetty who will give you nutrients. You will have a Bipasha Basu who will give you Zumba. You will have Sanjot Kheer who will give you the best cooking classes. And आपकी personality and skills को suit करते हुए, you're matching your abilities with the content provider in front of you, and you're very happy with that. That is the real game. Building digital companions is the key, which OTT is getting into in future. I look at the future totally as digitization, and I were to look at it till the world actually restores the health capacities completely and declares that everybody is fine. Digitization at home, digital media is here to stay. Health is a peak crescendo, the highest priority for any human being. चाहे वो आदमी हो जो आपका घर आके साफ करता हो, to the highest level person in the country, there is nothing over health. और अपनी health को ध्यान में करते हुए, what is most important is that when we safeguard oneself with these thoughts and behaviors, they will assert and manifest into a real big digital trend. These are the snapshots of how I look at the behavioral patterns to evolve in the coming times. And with this note, I move on to my responsibility of being a technical moderator, and hereon inviting the dynamic Mr. Zubin Dubash. He's the COO Digital Shimaru Entertainment. Can we have you to unmute yourself, please? A dynamic leader, he believes in passion and driving success. He was instrumental in actually building large-scale businesses at the like of Microsoft, Vodafone, Broadband, Tata Docomo, mobile app startups, and the list is extremely long. You know what? These are the achievements of Mr. Zubin, but let me tell you, he's an extremely creative individual, and what will make the conversation extremely interesting is that he is into painting, writing, poetry, swimming, yoga. I mean, how talented are you? He conducts high impact sessions for attitude to gratitude for corporates. And Mr. Zubin, I'm joining you for the sessions next time when you're doing this for corporates. He's a voiceover artist for about 800 projects to his credit, which is incredible. And here I am bringing on to you Mr. Zubin Dabas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very, very much, Shagun. I hope you can hear me. Am I audible?
Very audible, and we can hear you extremely well, and welcome on board. And please throw us some light on the new innovations for upcoming demand along with your perspective.
By all means. Firstly, I have to say thank you to this esteemed forum. I have to say thank you to Sahai Saab. I have to say thank you to Mukesh ji, to Mr. Agarwal, Yogesh, as well as yourself, Shagun. Thank you very, very much for having me here. It's great to kind of exchange ideas and thoughts around how the OTT industry is shaping up. And I hope to, in the next few minutes, give you a sense of where it all began and where it's all going. I think that's what we want to kind of encapsulate in this few moments of discussion. So let me start off with a little story. Sometime back in 2017, I had just kind of joined Shimaru, and I had a startup prior to that when I was kind of doing something in the app space. So I was not very much into content, but I knew that YouTube had its own share of the highest video consuming platform of sorts, and it shared that huge label. I was invited to a YouTube fan fest, and I kind of said, let me go down there and check what it's all about, because I was learning the industry. And there in the audience were these 12 to 13-year-olds, and I was sitting 2 rows back, okay? And suddenly the MC at the stage said, welcome guys, let's hear a thunderous applause for BBK Wine's Bhuvan Bam. And I was just stunned. I said, who the hell is this guy? I don't know anything. And 2 minutes later, in that split second, those 12-year-olds just got up, sprang out, and started jumping around the place, saying, this is crazy. They were like goosebumps, and oh, our guy is here. And then I went up to one of them and I just tapped him on his shoulder and I asked, who's this guy? Why are you so excited? You don't know Bhuvan Bam? He's the biggest YouTube's creator, biggest YouTube celebrity. And that's when I realized that there is a complete shift in content, tastes, behavior, acceptance for content, and there's a generation gap between content for each layer of population. Whether it's age groups or whether it's stratas or whether it's sects, it is completely personalized to people and their liking. And to your point of saying consumer behavior is changing, I totally second that, because it is definitely changing. Customers are looking at their own content and their own satiation of content and how that can be satiated. Let me start from where the OTT industry began about 4 or 5 years back. It started off with the broadcasters initially saying, we want to now look at the next 10 years and say, in the next 10 years, we are going to see millennials coming on to consuming content, and they're not going to come on to television. They will want to consume content on their own devices. And therefore, it is very important for us to be on the device of consumption. So when they said that they will be on that device of consumption, they said, let's start off by doing one of two things. You can't obviously change everything overnight. So first thing you need to do is habit change. I think the point you touched upon, Shagun. Habit change was the first thing that the entire broadcasters wanted to do, which is saying, now we've got a new way to consume us. Come on to the platform, come on to our app, and consume the same content you're watching on TV on your app. So that was what was known as the catch-up phase. Suddenly, prime time became my time. And that was the first phase of OTT. And that's where they started creating a habit change, saying, hey, you know what, it's also available at 9 o'clock on your favorite TV channel. But don't forget, you can come back and watch this on your app anytime you want to. Just click on the link and you can watch it. So that was the first phase, literally, which started getting people to start changing habits and changing ways of doing the same thing. Having done that, we saw a lot of traffic coming to the platforms. And slowly, after a while, these guys said, okay, now let's go to the next stage, which is build up on throwing some content on the platform that will give the customers something to look forward to on their own devices in the OTT. So that became the next phase of OTT consumption. And with that, OTT consumption started growing rapidly. People started looking at OTT as a separate entity to consume content. It became, like you rightly said, it became this entire platform for consuming my content in my time for me as per my liking. And that became the individualistic aspect of OTT. And as that happened, we started seeing numbers growing. Now cut to, let's say about a year ago, we were talking about close to many OTTs having 100, 200 million MAUs, which is active subscribers. Today, the industry is sitting at about 350 million active subscribers in terms of consumption every month. That is the online OTT industry market, if I may say so, in terms of users. This entire thing gave rise to so much traffic on the platform that now OTT players started realizing that there is this entire gamut of advertising that I can offer on the same content and traffic, and with much more personalization and targeting that I can do versus TV. And that's when this entire thing came up and said, we'll create an entire AVOD, which is advertiser funded VOD, video on demand, for the customers. And that's the first layer which started fueling in the growth, fueling in the revenues, and fueling in the traffic on the platform. As this thing started continuing, maybe about a year back, or maybe even as late as 6 months back, we've started seeing that OTT players are now getting into saying we've crossed the bridge of habit change, and we've got that in mass scale. So now comes this entire thing of saying, now that you've got great content as per your liking on your platform, on the choice of your device, if we give you something even more premium, would you mind paying for it? And that's where the subscription piece has started. You know, the whole subscription era has begun. So in the last few months, you're seeing that a lot of the traction happening on customers coming on the platform to subscribe. OTT is giving a lot of subscription offers, making customers buy packs of different kinds, you know, whether it's classical pack or whether it's the regional Gujarati pack or whether it's Bollywood new movies pack. So there are different kinds of tastes, and saying now you can choose what you want and buy the packs, you can get the content that you want premium enough. So that's where it's come to. And finally, we come to the stage, which is, of course, the pre-COVID stage, or just the lockdown stage, which is where everything has literally changed for, I would say, forever. So in the COVID stage, Shagun, what has actually happened is, yes, a lot of people staying at home, not having any other alternate means to consume entertainment, had to resort to the only means of consuming entertainment, and that was the device. That was their digital device, and therefore OTT became the biggest piece to consume. I think across the industry, we've seen massive traction happening around there, from a ranging from anywhere between 100 to 150% increase in traffic and other metrics as well. So a lot of the action has happened in that zone, where you've suddenly seen that a lot of people who were not so OTT-fied, if I may say so, have become OTT-fied. And having got onto the platform, they have realized that there's this power of getting the content that I want, watching it on demand, which means when I ask for it, and knowing fully well when I ask for it, what content I'm going to use, because it explicitly states that, you know, this is violent, or this is age appropriate, or this is profanic. So for that reason, there is a very clear guideline or an articulation mentioned before any content is consumed as to what the contents of that content are. It's like if you go to a restaurant today and you read the menu, many a times in fine dining restaurants, they give you the contents of that, saying gluten-free, contains sugar, contains potatoes, whatever the case may be, so that you are aware of what you are ordering. And I think in that spirit, the fact that we are putting out the required disclaimers or information for consumers to take the informed choice on VOD, which is again video on demand and not video that is served to you. That is where the entire, I would touch upon the regulation piece would come into play. As such, I think the mix and the balance of regulation versus creative liberty has to be very clearly balanced, because if we start creating any kind of a mandatory regulation, it will have an impact on the output of creativity and content. Having said that, I wholeheartedly support the element and the movement of self-regulation. Self-regulation is that we will be disciplined enough to inform our audiences at the right time, at the moment of consumption, what they're about to watch. Likewise, if it's a child who's not at a mature age to take a decision of whether it's valid or not, there is where technology comes into play. I can speak for ourselves, and I can also say that many of the other OTTs have created parental control technologies to make sure that the technologies allow for parents to control what the children watch. So if they are giving a device in the hands of the child, and of course, as we said, the child wants his own personal content, that personal content cannot be allowed to experiment on adult content or anything that is not meant for the child. And that control you can give to the parent through technology that is available simplistically on the app itself. Apart from that, making sure that the content itself generates some amount of value creation for the consumer is something that we also support. As far as that's on the regulation bit, if I may say so, my 2 bits around there. A few new models that have emerged, and I think I must touch upon that in the COVID, post-COVID scene, is that, as you rightly said again, that the multiplex phenomenon of 700 seats being filled up and, really, going after every new movie first day, first show, that's going to stop, or probably that's going to change completely. People are going to be scared because health comes first. You don't know hygiene levels, however much they convince you that they are adopting the best levels of hygiene. So what's going to actually happen is that people, when they go into the theater, or rather, if they have to go into a theater, there will be probably 50 seaters or just 50 people going into a theater. So you don't get the excitement of getting into a theater. You don't get the popcorn feel. You don't get the entire multiplex feel. So you'd rather sit at home and watch the same thing in a home theater environment, which is as good, I would think. On that note, the idea of a new model in content consumption and in monetization has come out, which is now known as TVOD, or transaction VOD, saying watch and pay for what you consume. Okay, so that's something that is coming through, which is movies released first on digital, where the OTT plays the role of the multiplex, as simple as that. So you have so actually your app or your OTT is the new multiplex, because what you're doing is you are launching a new film on the platform and paying a ticket price for it to watch it, which is exactly what you would do when you go to the box office or you go to a theater and watch the same film. So that's the change in trend with the same intent in mind. That's coming up in a big way. I also see new formats coming out, and a few have actually experimented with this, but I see this happening in a big way. Reality and content in the area of interactive output. Okay, so interactive output, you have a story, it takes you to a point, and then you say, does he get killed? Does he get kidnapped, or does he escape? So based on what you decide, will decide the next course of action for the story. And that's going to be a very, very interesting twist in the overall consumption patterns and the way content is delivered. So these are new formats that will be experimented with. I also believe that live shows sitting indoors will of course become another reason for people to start paying for content, like watching a live Arijit show or watching a live, uh, you know, I mean, any show like for that matter, and a Zakir Hussain show for that matter. So you could actually look at lots of different ways in which the entire environment of staying at home, using technology to connect, having payment options, pay for your services, all of this stitched up can actually bring in a lot of value to the customer as we go along. So yeah, I mean, I think these are few of my points. I had to just kind of put this in perspective. My sense is how it's going is that today we are at about 350 million MAUs, monthly active users on online video as a whole. In the next 3 to 4 years, which is by about 2023, 24, we expect this to be about 750 million OTT consumers. OTT will become a habit. It'll just become the new way of doing. It's the lifestyle. It'll become a lifestyle, literally. And we see this becoming a very integral part of everyone's life. Okay, whether it's for on-demand fitness, to on-demand bhajans, to on-demand movies, to on-demand uh, uh, kids content, anything under the sun will be on demand. It is for me at my time when I can consume at the price that I want. So that's in a nutshell how it's all going.
Before you
exceeded my time. But
no, you haven't. So a quick conclusion, I would like to just conclude in there because those are very valuable inputs, Mr. Zubin. But to conclude, I'd like to ask you that last question is do you think that the viewers in times ahead are going to change and as per the changing needs of OTT?
Absolutely, there is no choice. So viewers will change. And they are already changing. So when content providers provide them content which is way different from what happened 10 years back on TV or any other consumption medium, they are lapping it up. So it's actually a good race between creators who understand the behavior of the consumer and consumers who are warranting that research done by the content creators and are actually lapping up all that content. And in fact, it also throws a lot of light on what kind of content is working, because one thing I did not mention is that there is so much of technology around data, analytics, and insights that's available on OTT, where you can go down to the wire, which is to the last mile, one single customer. So if your OTT can serve millions of customers and yet give them a fingerprint experience saying it's only for me and for my taste,
Sure.
I think that is the holy grail of the entire OTT game.
Very well, very well. I think that's the key. And thank you, Mr. Zubin. That was wonderful. He believes that OTT is the new multiplex. And I quite like that line because in the times come, this is how trends are changing. They have changed and they are going to change in near future. Thank you so much, Mr. Zubin. That was great. And thank you for being on board with us.
Thank you, Shagun. Thank you very, very much.
Pleasure all ours, and I will be here moving on to Miss Ashi Dua. Ashi, may I request you to please unmute yourself? Miss Ashi Dua, she's the founder of Flying Unicorn Entertainment, has produced films like Bombay Talkies, La Stories, Kalakandi, Ghost Stories. She's had a whole list to her credits. Bombay Talkies, which she produced with Mr. Karan Johar and the other directors on board, went on to the Cannes Film Festival. La Stories got nominated at the International Emmy Awards. Working closely with Ronnie Screwvala, she has her upcoming projects. But something very interesting about Ashi is that she roots from the popular town of Bareilly, which she has never lived in because she's been in Mumbai all her life for work. But then it is where Miss World Priyanka Chopra was nailed, and we hit it off and we shared some good times together in Bareilly that time when Priyanka was around, if you remember, Ashi. And a history honor student, of course, from Delhi University. She is an epitome of energy and she is a bubbling producer in the Mumbai film industry at the moment. And I welcome here on Miss Ashi Dua.
Thank you, Shagun. Thank you to, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you. Please, go ahead.
Thank you, Shagun. Thank you to everyone in the panel and everybody for having me as a part of this discussion. You know, there is a lot I wanted to say, but hearing all of you all, I think all the points are pretty much covered. So I will talk from a producer's point of view, and I will talk about my personal journey into the whole OTT world, because everything else that you all have said about the emerging market is you know, already been said. So I'm going to start with saying that Shagun and me actually go way back. We very briefly went to the same school, and we met in Bareilly. And Shagun, if you remember, that's the year Priyanka decided to go for Miss India. And as two girls from a small town, we were very excited that somebody we knew was going for Miss India at that point. And then she went on to become Miss World, and then so on and so forth. And I'm sure today all of us from Bareilly, and generally all of us Indians, are very proud of her. And I'm actually very proud of Shagun, because through my journey in school and college, she was always doing something. Even while we were just so laid back and having fun, Shagun was always involved in doing something. And today when I see her speak amongst you all, I feel a sense of pride, and I feel very happy that you know, we're actually speaking in a platform together. I'd like to say that, you know, I started, as I said, I was from a small town with no inclination of wanting to be in Mumbai to work in the movies. And then when I ended up working in the movies, and I had my journey at a very, very young age, I was fortunate. My first film that released was in the theater, and it received a lot of critical response, and it was well received and all of that. But when Lust Stories came, that is the time the OTT platforms were just emerging, and they were just coming out, and you know, people were still a bit wary about, should we give our films to an OTT platform? Will people even watch it? Will it be appreciated? And I had the fortune of having Mr. Ronnie Screwvala as a partner on Lust Stories. And we decided that let's do it. Even at that point, Netflix hadn't reached the homes that it has reached today. And we decided to go for it. And I was working with the same directors in Bombay Talkies as well as in Lust Stories. But the difference, I'd just like to bring, you know, that discussion here, that the difference I felt that we had between Bombay Talkies and Lust Stories, which was on OTT and that was in the theater, was that during Lust Stories, we found our targeted audience, that audience that we were targeting right there for us on a platform like Netflix. And that hugely benefited the film, and it went on to do really well, not just in India, but globally. It went on to do really well. It did very well for Netflix as well. And currently we are working with Netflix on a bunch of other projects which are in a similar space, where we've realized that the audience that we didn't have maybe theatrically for sometimes a niche concept or a niche film, you end up getting that on a platform that has its targeted audience right there. So I think that was a huge learning, as well as a difference that I figured at that point between theater and OTT. In the last 6 months of COVID times, and of course what OTT has achieved over the last 6 months, I would say we realized that a little bit early on, and we knew that pre-COVID or post-COVID or during COVID, OTT is definitely here to stay, because like everybody has already spoken, the amount of the content that you can watch. I mean, before any of these OTT platforms broke out, I don't think any of us would have explored or watched the shows that we are currently watching from all over the world, whether it's in Spanish, whether it's in German, whether it's in any other language. We are consuming it because, you know, we hear someone say, oh, Narcos is a fantastic show, or Money Heist is a fantastic show, and they're not even in English, but we are still consuming these shows. And I don't think things like that would have happened if it wasn't for the OTT platforms that exist. We wouldn't have even been exposed to them. Similarly, the films that we are making in Hindi, they are being exposed to people all over the world who don't even speak Hindi or English. So we've also been able to emerge into markets which I don't think was a possibility. I mean, very few films would break out in some European markets or, of course, America and all of that. But now the way we are actually reaching the different markets all over the world wouldn't have been possible without the OTT platforms. And it's given us, I would say, it's given us wings. It's given content wings to fly. Like, and anything that you make sitting in your country can be watched by millions and billions of people across the world. And that is the beauty of an OTT platform. And like everybody said, that whether it's the times that we are in or it's times to come, it's definitely here to stay. In fact, what has happened during COVID times, as per my experiences, pre-COVID, it was always slightly niche. You would have a script, you would have some content, and people would say, "Arey, ye to Netflix ke liye hai. Arey, ye theater mein nahi jayega." But now, what has happened is those boundaries have become a bit hazy, because now all kinds of people are beginning to consume these OTT platforms. Earlier, let's say if it was a niche audience before COVID, now it's reaching a bigger audience. And even the content creators, as well as the people at these platforms, have realized that. And now if you see the content that's coming out on these platforms, it's actually talking to all kinds of people, whether it's their movies, whether it's their shows, as opposed to earlier, which was slightly niche. So now there is a very thin line when people say, ye Netflix ke liye hai ya theater ke liye hai. It could be for both, or it could, you know, something that you didn't think would fly on a OTT platform is working on an OTT platform, like the numerous films that we have watched through this lockdown. And what I feel moving forward is with theaters, and it's unfortunate because I'm a very old school person and I love the whole silver screen and I love the experience of being in a theater. There is nothing that can match that. The feeling of being in a crowd and people clapping at a beautiful scene, or just standing together for the national anthem before watching your film. So I think nothing beats the theater experience. But unfortunately, I personally feel that people will start to go to the theater even post-COVID for the experiential films that give you some sort of an experience, like your Bahubalis and anything that you would enjoy watching on the big screen. I think people would opt more of that in the theaters, as opposed to the smaller, more beautiful coming of age stories. People would be like, okay, in 2 or 3 weeks, I rather consume that on an OTT platform. So I feel definitely the audience is going to start deciding what is it that they want to watch in the theater and what is it that they will wait to watch home. Also, it is value for money, right? Because a family of 4, when they go to the theater, whether it's the whole experience of the transport commute to get to the theater, whether it's the money that you spend in the interval, it ends up costing a good amount of money in a multiplex to watch a film of a family of 4, as opposed to a family of 8 can sit at home and in quarter the cost, or maybe not even that, you end up watching the film on an OTT platform. So people have started to realize that, and hence they're choosing their films that they will watch in the theater. So like I said, the films which will offer you an experience of the big screen that you will only enjoy on the big screen, people will opt for that in the theater, according to me. And the smaller films,
I'd like to ask you here, since you're giving us such valuable inputs, and of course, most of them are extremely crucial for the people who are viewing us today. OTT platform, is it a value addition to content writers? If we can have a quick sum up from you on that. Is it a value? What about content writing? What do you have to say about that?
I mean, absolutely. If you ask me today, writers are kings. Like writers, that's a gold mine. If you are sitting on good content, and if this is a golden time for writers. And actually COVID, the last 6 months, when you're like, as producers, we are constantly chasing writers all over the city and wasting a lot of time. Now, when I speak to my writers, they have no excuse. They are actually sitting in one place and writing without any distractions. And it's a golden time for writers, because everybody, whether it's platforms, whether it's producers, everybody who wants to be putting stuff out there is only looking for good content, and the good content is coming from writers. So I think there is so much consumption of content. And there is so much demand for writers and content creators that it's a golden period for them. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ashi. That was brilliant. And I think they were amazing inputs to the whole methodology, which is going to follow in the times to come. But thank you so much for joining us, Ashi, today. And we at PhD Chamber of Commerce, Media and Entertainment Committee really thank you from the bottom of our heart for taking the time.
I really appreciate it. This was a very insightful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashi. Thank you so much. And here I move on to Mr. Sushil Chaudhary, who can we have you? Right here, we have Mr. Sushil. He's already on unmute that I can see. CEO of Picture Time Digiplex and a tech entrepreneur. After qualifying as an engineer, he set up Man India, a well-known name in the Latam region. He brings digital world-class experience to rural India, the key for entertainment that traditionally has not been served and met. He has a vision to build affordable ecosystems of technology, to bring about the cinematic experience for everybody, which will actually take India to run in the box office figures 10 times the size in the next 5 years. This is a big game and very, very creatively and imaginatively should be put up by him. I hereon welcome Mr. Sushil Chaudhary.
Thank you, Shagun. Thank you, Shagun. I hope I'm audible.
You're very audible. How are you doing today?
Thank you so very much, Shagun. And it so happened that we are meeting online after a few years. I remember meeting you at your house.
Yes.
So wonderful to see and have a discussion on this OTT platform. And I must say, session is quite wonderful, informative, and everybody has given great input, great information. So I would not like to repeat or I would not like to say give a different point of view. I will quickly try to cover a small observation on regulation or regulatory aspect of OTT platform, and then I would conclude with pros and cons regarding TSP, OTTs, and big screen cinema theater.
Precisely, we were just coming to that, but I'll add a word here. We would like your perspective on moral regulation. So I was just adding that word, and we are all ears to you, Mr. Sushil. Now,
Thank you so very much, Shagun.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Sahai said, we in January 2019, most of the big OTT players, Netflix, Hotstar, Amazon Prime, Roz, Alt, and few others, they have signed on code of conduct, a self-regulatory code of conduct, to ensure that the content disclaimer and information is given about the content, if it is age appropriate, what kind of categorization following the censor board categorization of censor board standards like 13 plus, 16 plus, 18 plus, like that. So that exists. And I like Mr. Mukesh Gupta said that today the violence, extreme depiction of any act which is disturbing for kids or family members, it is an onus at the filmmakers level. But at the same time, we have a lot of debate on creative freedom and what is right, what is wrong, what is truth, what is to be shown, what is not to be shown. But I tried doing my research that how people or user or consumer is reacting to this extreme content. Mr. Gupta mentioned a channel called Ulu. So if you look at the subscriber base or average time spent on Ulu channel is very, very small. Or any other OTT platform, be it Amazon, be it Netflix, where you have, say, 16 plus or 18 plus, unless until it is a very popular series, the time spent is very less. So on consumers' point of view, they already have checks and balances at place. Maybe it is an early excitement when some people go and try to watch certain content. But over a period of time, once any user spends, say, on an average 3 to 4 weeks, that consumer become self-aware. So I would say there is a requirement of moral code of conduct uh, at the content creators level, content writers level, or content makers level, which I see is happening. But if you look at the legal framework side, like Mr. Gupta said and Mr. Yogesh said, we already have IT Act. So as per Technology Act 67A, 67B, 67C and 69A, that is already at place. But I hope that Supreme Court hears the long pending appeal on this matter and they come out with a strong framework, which should happen soon. But I was a bit surprised that in this panel, people did not discuss about TSPs. So the big war is not OTT versus and rest of the channel. I see the big war is going to be between TSPs and OTTs. Telecom service provider, they are the one who spend a lot of money. They're the one who create infrastructure, pay license fee, like others were saying, spectrum fee and all. And after spending so much of money, their market share on video on demand or content on demand is limited. But as we see global consolidation in the telecom world, like in India, the consolidation is already between two large players, Jio and Airtel. So when Jio comes as a strong TSP and aggregator of content, and that content reach to users, that will put a lot of pressure on existing OTT platform, and it will ensure they come up and curate their content in a correct manner, which I feel like if you look at average user habit and divide their content consumption percentage on top 5 OTT platform, it will give you an answer. So I feel that India's OTT industry, which is very new, 5-6 years old, like from 0 rupees, if you look at OTT's contribution to filmmakers, content maker, or business or revenue per se, in 2018 it was 2,100 crores level, which was significant.
Can't hear Mr. Chaudhary.
Yeah, I think we've lost your sound. We've lost your sound. Could you mute and unmute yourself? We're not getting
Hello?
your sound. Yeah, now we are. Please carry on.
Shagun, I think you are
Please carry on. Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I'm saying, that OTT platforms revenue in 2000 went up to 3,100 crores, and 2020 it will grow further. So if you look at India's overall box office collection, like OTT's contribution from 0 to 2,000 to 3,000, this year probably 4,000 crore plus, is add-on to the film industry, which in any case was very poor in collecting revenue compared to rest of the world. Just to give you understanding, United States of America, they earn $11 billion or so in theatrical revenue. India does $2 billion. So now this 3,000 or 4,000 crore this year is added to the 12,000 crore of theatrical revenue. In fact, 2020 is going to be different here because theatrical revenue is going to be 80 or 90% lesser, but we have a little bit revenue coming from OTT platform. But why I'm sharing this data, that India has a potential as country to earn around 70 to 80,000 crore of revenue for cinema industry. Today we are at the level of, if you combine all the form of revenues, to around 15,000 crore level. So there is a good sign. But when you talk about what and how the future is going to be, in digital world, it is going to be TSPs, in my opinion, taking over, leading, and consolidation in OTT world. But just to conclude, I would say people were talking about cinematic experience, like Ashi was saying, that big screen experience. Of course, it cannot be replaced But now the consumer is wise. They are going to consume content on OTT, TSPs or other platform, TV or other digital platform. But big screen is here to stay and evolve. I feel if I look at the trend of big release like Tenet in UK, people are filling up the screens. India, I'm eager to wait and watch how people are going to respond when 1983 releases in theater, if our theaters are open. And of course, theaters have a uphill and challenge in front of them, because after investing so much money on infrastructure of building that ecosystem, they will have to evolve, figure out a new way to be more efficient, which is a good sign. I feel in the end, user is going to gain a lot of benefit. Filmmakers are going to gain a lot of benefit, and infrastructure providers or theater provider or medium provider, be it OTT, TSPs or digital or cinema theater, they all have an equal or number of opportunities or equal number of challenges to sort out their game and evolve their game. I feel now out of 2000 films which India does certified, or 2000 censor certified film, theatrical release was available to 600 film or lesser. OTT platform release was available to only 180 or 200 odd films. So there is still a huge gap with respect to earnings for filmmakers, availability to user. So I feel this is going to be a very, very interesting future, which we all of us will witness in years to come. And user perspective, they are going to gain a lot. So I would put my conversation to end here. And thank you once again, Shagun.
Thank you so much, Sushilji. Those were amazing insights, and I feel those insights got us thinking to the level that yes, OTT will be a new future for users ahead. And here I am summing up the conversation now, and we're going to be moving on. As Mr. D.K. Agarwal says, new habits are giving trends, future trends are high. Mr. Vikram Sahai says technology will lead. And Mukesh sir says people want to uplift their lives by good content. And Mr. Zubin says OTT is the new multiplex. Miss Ashi says OTT has given content the wings to fly. And you have Mr. Sushil Inya, who just said that users will definitely gain in the process. And there is an unprecedented, unpredicted, very positive future ahead. And here I am moving on to Dr. Yogesh Srivastav, our Principal Director, PhD Chamber of Commerce, the dynamic man who will put the summary together in the best possible way and take on the show here on. Moving on to you, Yogesh sir.
Thank you, Shagunji. Though you have already summarized, and before I hand over to my Secretary General, Mr. Saurabh Sanyal, to speak, let me share one thing with you. In fact, we realized, I was just messaging my colleague Aparajita, that even 2 hours is less to deliberate on this subject, because all the 3 speakers, including you, Shagunji, have really put the things in perspective, that future is very bright. But yes, as people have said, that what kind of things which we really need to see, that kind of self-regulation we really need to adapt on ourselves. So I think this is very important. How government is going to take, that is again a very $1 million question, whether government is certainly going to put some restrictions on us. And as my dear friend Sushil ji said, that the future lies with the audience. I think that is very, very important, as far as the OTT is concerned. So with this note, now I would like to request our Secretary General of PhD Chamber, Mr. Saurabh Sanyal, to kindly give the formal vote of thanks. And let me share it with you, ladies and gentlemen, that our Joint Secretary, Mr. Sai, is connected with us. And I'm sure, as I have said to him at the outset, that we will certainly going to give him the report. Of course, the recommendations also of the speakers to the ministry. post this webinar. Over to Mr. Saurabh Sanyal. Mr. Sanyal, kindly unmute yourself and kindly give the concluding remarks and the formal vote of thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yogesh. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Very well.
Thank you. Thank you. So, distinguished chief guest of the webinar, Shri Vikram Sahai, Joint Secretary, P&A, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. Thank you very much for joining with us and sparing your valuable time. And it was a pleasure to know that you have worked with FICCI and you have given your valuable advice and your valuable contribution there. Thank you so much for sparing and giving us you have set the pace and the road for the OTT. There were many issues which were discussed, and I'm sure you must have heard them. And we will be forwarding the recommendations as a PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry on the OTT, which I'm sure you will go through and you will take cognizance of. I would like to profusely thank our President, Dr. D.K. Agarwal, for sparing his time and also giving the presidential address in which he set the tone and tenor of the webinar today. I would also like to thank profusely Ms. Shagun Singhal Garg, the motivational speaker and educationist, not only for moderating the program after the inaugural presidential speech, but also giving your side of the story. And whatever you said is a fact, because OTT is going to stay. It is not the new normal. It had already caught on 5 years back when the first few OTT platforms like the Netflix and the Amazon Prime Video had already started coming in, and many people like us who did not have the time and space, and while we traveled from one place to another, and wherever we had the network and the net availability, we could watch these movies beautifully while waiting at the airport lounge or while traveling from a place to B place on roads. So it is such a beautiful experience that, as was brought out by many speakers ahead of me, they all said that it is your time, it is your planning, and you choose the plan, you choose the movie, you choose when you want to watch it. So these were the great advantages, and I think a subscription of $600 or $650, which is absolutely peanuts. It is for a month watching thousands of movies or thousands of TV shows. It's a great and a phenomenal change that has happened, and this change is going to revolutionize not only India but across the globe. I mean, people are now going head over heels in Africa. Let me tell you, people are watching excellent movies of Indian origin, movies of Bollywood, movies of Hollywood is being watched across the globe, because there are translated movies also. I mean, I think that point was missed out. There are subtitled movies which are available for everybody to watch. Bengali movies, award-winning movies are being shown on this platform, and I think it is a phenomenal thing that has happened with the OTT platforms, and it is going to stay not only today, but it is going to be, continuing with the new normal, with the new pace of technology which is going to take place. I think many more modifications will come in on this platform. I would like to thank our sponsor, Picture Time. Without his support, and Mr. Sushil Chaudhary, who was the last but one speaker, the founder of Picture Time, for sponsoring and supporting this webinar. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to, such a interesting topic wouldn't have been able to share with so many participants and so many panelists. All of you came and all of you spared a valuable time. Thank you so much, Ms. Shagun. I would like to profusely thank Mr. Zubin Dabash, the Chief Operations Officer of the Digital Shemaru Entertainment Limited, who has given an absolutely grassroots level information about the OTT platforms, because he is himself involved in it. It is excellent perspective which he gave, and I want to thank him profusely for sharing his views and also telling about the OTT platforms, how it is going to be evolving in the near future and how it is going to be. And you are right that you said that there is a self-discipline which is involved. And of course, I could see, because I'm an ardent watcher of Netflix and Amazon Prime Video. So in that, the cautionary words are very well given. In Netflix, in fact, there is a kids space and another space also where you can click, and there is parental control. So those provisions are already there. Only thing is, it has to be made more stricter, more regulatory, more bounded with regulations, so that things become very clear and good. And of course, why not? Why not you show the gory and the horror which is taking place? Because from there you learn, people will stop watching them. We have stopped watching those movies because we saw the gore, the gory pictures and the harsh realities of life, and we switched them off. So it is also a reality which is being shown, where people are going away or drifting away. And there are good movies and good information related movies, Oscar winning award movies which are being shown, which are very, very difficult to watch. It is very difficult to find out which hall, which place these Oscar awarded movies are running, and going there and buying special tickets, waiting in queues, etc. So it is a very, very beautiful thing that has happened to us. It has happened to the world. It has happened to our country, and large number of people are coming in. There are business enterprises who are now moving in. As I'm told and I'm aware, the media and entertainment industry, being one of the most pivotal industries of the country, was hit during this pandemic. However, when it switched on and it witnessed a turnaround when it went into the OTT platforms, large number of stars have cropped in. They have also come in. There are new stars who are coming in into this small screen, or a micro screen, I would say, on your mobile phones. The platform for news, for information, for entertainment, everything is available on your handheld. So this is an excellent thing which has happened, and it is not only in the country but also globally. India currently has over 95 OTT platforms across video, music, podcasts, and audio streaming categories. There has been a 35% increase in online content consumption in India. Most platforms, including OTT, podcasts, and gaming, have seen a 30 to 60% increase since early March. That is after the Janata Curfew, which the Honorable Prime Minister of India announced. So I would also like to thank Ms. Ashi Dua, the founder of the Flying Unicorn Entertainment. Again, a startup, I guess. I am sure your statement and your views were absolutely phenomenal. They were the current trends which you mentioned, and I'm sure you must be following them, and you must be creating real disruptions in the OTT platform or in the digital space. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable views and coming and joining us on this webinar. Last but not the least, I would again like to thank Mr. Sushil Chaudhary, the founder and CEO Picture Time, not only for supporting us, sir, but also giving your valuable thought and insight for the program on the OTT, the new normal for Indian media and entertainment industry. I would like to thank our chairman of the Media and Entertainment Committee for having considered, conceptualized, and given his thoughts so profusely, and being with the media division of the PhD chamber and also from the Media and Entertainment Committee. He always comes out with out-of-the-box ideas and starts displaying them and implementing them on ground. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Shri Mukesh Gupta ji, for having supported us on this webinar and given your valuable remarks, your keynote address, and your chairman's remarks for the OTT industry. With these words, I thank each one of you, and not forgetting Dr. Yogesh Srivastav and his complete team, Aparajita and Simran, who are here, who have organized this at a very, very short notice. I must tell you that it is within not even 5 days. It is just 3 days or 4 days. Am I right, Dr. Yogesh?
Yeah. I think
I
it
think
it
within
was a
4 days this organization took place, and they could turn around and immediately produce a very good webinar where I have personally learned a lot, and I'm sure all the panelists who are here today, present today, they must have also learned, and all the participants who are here, they must have also. It has been a very interesting thing, because it is out of the unique. It is a unique thing which is happening today. It is like the AI and automation which is taking place in the country today. It is something like that on the digital side. So it is wonderful. It is great to have met each one of you, heard each one of you. Thank you so much, and keep continuing your good work, and please keep coming on the PhD Chambers platform. Thank you, and Jai Hind.
Sir, I would also like to seek one request from Sahai Saab, that as I have said in the beginning, that I'm requesting each and every concerned stakeholders, especially the speakers, including Shagunji, please do write it to us, because I have given a promise to my team that we will be certainly making a report and recommendations. And Sahai Saab, with your kind permission, while maintaining the social distance, I would love to come to Shastri Bhavan with your convenience, and would hand over that report to you. Aparajita has already told me that
You are not audible.
sorry, am I audible, sir?
Now you are audible.
Yeah. While maintaining the social distance, we would love to meet Sai Saab. So I would like to seek that permission also from Sai Saab, and we'll hand over that report to you. So each and every speaker, audience, those who have joined, my mail ID has already been mentioned in the chat box. Of course, Aparajita's mail ID is also there. Please do write to us. We will incorporate in our report and recommendations, and we will submit it to the government and all concerned stakeholders. So with this note, ladies and gentlemen, and especially
and also on behalf of PhD Chamber, we would like to invite each one of you physically whenever the lockdown gets opened, which I expect after 21st of September will happen. Please make a visit to the chamber, because we have not stopped functioning. As a Chamber of Commerce, there was lockdown across the globe, but chamber was functioning day and night. Our people were there, our affiliates were there, our members were there, and let me tell you, even though there was a lockdown, but people working from home did policy advocacy, policy intervention, capacity building, and social and economic development, including feeding of 1.5 million families. Our members, our chamber foundations, they have all done this. So let me tell you, this chamber is a very vibrant chamber, and please do visit us physically.
Mr. Sanyal, I must share. Sorry to interrupt.
Please go ahead.
I have visited your chamber quite often in the years 91, 92.
Right.
And it was quite a beautiful place. And recently I had an occasion to, I was telling Aparajita earlier, I had an occasion to visit your auditorium because my wife was there receiving some award. So I went back and relived my memories of PhD. It's a very beautiful building. You all have done it very well. So I look forward to meeting you there.
Saab, one thing I must add. Yeah, I must share. We used to have a very good library, and let me share it with you, since my father also belongs to Indian Administrative Service. He used to tell me that any kind of report, whether 5th 5-year plan, 6th 5-year plan, any kind of report, we used to get it from PhD library. Now, in the leadership of Mr. Saurabh Sanyal, we have made it into a digital library and a beautiful lounge, sir. And the lounge, of course, with a bar. So I must invite you, sir, on behalf of PhD Chamber. Number of members, especially my friend Sushil Chaudhary, used to visit these libraries quite often, and they used to ask me, "Ki boss, ab apni library kab khol rahe hain?" So library with a bar, that is a unique place, sir, in this institutional area, and we would love to, have you over there, sir, in PhD library.
This was in my first tenure.
Sure, I'll be there. Thank you. Thank you.
With this note, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly take care of yourself and have a great day. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.